Hi guys, today we are going to be seeing is Stanistan here. So I united all the countries that end with Stan. You made an empire and united. Okay, so the capital of this country, and it's always going to be red. I think it's going to be Karachi, which is somewhere here because I think that's a good city. And so they have a coast, a Caspian Sea, and the Indian Ocean. Uh, but the thing is, they're surrounded by very strong countries. Like, you're not going to invade Russia, you're not going to invade China, you're not going to invade India. But Iran is probably the weakest out of them, I would say. And you might be saying, but they border Mongolia. Well, they actually don't, and I did research this. They don't border Mongolia, so they can't attack Mongolia. So, but they don't want to attack it all on their own. So that Saudi Arabia hates Iran, so they join the war, and and Iran here is gonna be invaded. So let's see here. So Stanistan troops to uh, uh, they begin to go into Iran, uh, but because Iran wasn't really prepared for this, but so they only make small advances. Not much. I don't know where the capital of Iran is. Dang it. But Saudi Arabia is able to make a landing here, and they are able to get the oil fields here, oil fields, gas reserves, whatever they're called, and they make a landing. And then Iran is able to make a counteroffensive here, and they begin invading Afghanistan as a counteroffensive, of, but at the cost of losing a little bit of ground here to Saudi Arabia. And yeah, this isn't looking good for Iran here. So now their goal is Afghanistan and Saudi Arabia's goal is just to capture the coast right now, which they're closing in, and they're able to do it together successfully. And I doubt Saudi Arabia and Afghanistan would would unite, but not unite, but become allies. But they both hate Iran, so we'll do that. And Iran pulls out their troops from here, and Afghanistan re-begins their offensive. Keep pushing into Iran, and Iran is starting to get protests as the people don't really want to be ruled by Iran for reasons, and Iran starts seeing revolts here, 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 and here. So they're having a hard time. And Saudi Arabia is able to meet up with the revolts here, and they make a broadened front. And Afghanistan is pushing in, they're going to try and encircle these troops here and unite with the rebels or protests here. And Iran is able to crush the rebels here with military force, obviously, and they're able to make a little bit of a counteroffensive here, but and a little bit here, but not much. And now they be trying. Saudi Arabia meets up with the rebels, and they start fighting. And now they encircle all the Iranian troops, and the Iranian troops slowly but surely get squeezed, and they're dying. Yeah, they start dying, and they decide to make a smart choice and surrender this area, of course, only. With Iran kind of suffering now, they are kind of mad, and they don't really stand a chance now. Now the broad-end push into Iran has begun, and Iran has surrendered. That was too long. Let's look at the peace treaty. And here's the peace treaty, which is actually quite surprising. Even though Saudi Arabia here probably did most of the work, Afghanistan got most of the land. Saudi Arabia got this little part over here, but they didn't get much. But they did get more money than Afghanistan. They got Iran to pay lots of money to them, and yeah, they're okay with that. And now Afghanistan has a big coastline, and they have a big more chunk of land, and they are ready to invade. So now they have access to more weaker countries, I'd say, militaries. So they have Azerbaijan, Armenia, Georgia, other countries. So they declare war on these three countries here, as mentioned. Oh, Morocco there. As mentioned, they declare war on these ones. And boop. And well, let's begin. So Azerbaijan and all these other countries, they begin to pushing into Stanistan because they're actually prepared for this, and they actually make quite good gains here. But eventually they're stopped, and this is all they're gonna get. And yeah. Sanistan begins to invade Azerbaijan. They capture this area, a number of troops, and they encircle this area. And these countries don't have much experience. Well, Armenia and Azerbaijan, and well, they do, but the military just can't really support. Georgia's trying to support them, but they can't do much against this giant monster. So they encircle all the troops here. Azerbaijan surrenders, and Armenia has capitulated and surrender eventually. And now they begin their push into Georgia, and Georgia makes the smart decision actually. Good job, Georgia. And they actually surrender. And let's look at the peace treaty, which I'm pretty sure you guys can guess. And say it along with me, folks. Full annexation. They annex all of these countries: Azerbaijan, Armenia, and Georgia. And the Saracens is starting to look more thick, and they're getting stronger. But they think they can conquer a little bit more weak countries, in their opinion, and they declare war on the UAE and Kuwait. And they don't declare war on Qatar because they just don't want to. They don't feel like it. Anyway, so let's begin. And surprisingly, actually, the UAE, not the UAE, it's the UAE, yeah, makes a little push here, and they start pushing into Afghanistan here, and wait a minute, this is the wrong color. Okay, fix that. Yeah. Let's just pretend that's not there. And they actually are able to make a push with Kuwait. And let's just see here. Yeah, they just pushed the UAE out of here, and they begin their invasion of Kuwait. And Kuwait doesn't have really a good military, and they capitulate and then eventually surrender. It's just the UAE now. Okay, UAE, you got this. Not. And they began pushing into UAE. I'm not sure what the Burj Khalifa is, the tallest building in the world, but they probably captured it. And the UAE makes one final last dance, and they're able to push them back here, capture forces here, eliminate them. But then eventually, they just can't handle it anymore, and the UAE surrenders. And guess what? Full annexation. So now, Stanistan is feeling confident, and they decide, let's invade our enemy. And they decide to invade Russia, the motherland. Russia. Let's just get Leningrad here. Okay, now the invasion of Russia begins. It's gonna be hard. So let's find out what happens. They begin their push from here. Stanistan begins their push, and they begin to push into Russia. And they get some oil fields here in the Caucasus, and they are able to broaden up their fronts. And Russia was pretty much busy somewhere, looking at you. And they weren't prepared for this. Let's just say that. So they begin recalling troops and to make a defense. So Saracen was actually quite smart into getting Russia in a bad time. But Russia is able to make some gains here. They get the little part of Stanistan here, and they push into Stanistan from here. But eventually that's countered, and because it's cold here. Not sure how cold, but it's not warm. And Stanistan is able to encircle a large amount of troops, and they surrender. And yeah, it's just not looking good here. And now they begin their full invasion of Russia. Dun 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 dun. And they're surprisingly doing quite well. Wait a minute. Let's just. There we go. Okay. And they're actually surprisingly doing quite well. And their plan in the Caucasus here is to cut off this part of Russia and to encircle them like that. But not yet. So Russia is able to do a counteroffensive here, and they make it to the Caspian Sea, and they also do it here, and they attempt to make an encirclement, but that's way too big. It's not gonna go successfully. And they're gonna try and mostly protect this area because that's the area that matters. Here, not so much. And Citizen is able to make huge gains here, and not that much of this place matters, but they're doing it. It's better than nothing. And yeah, so Citizen is making some good gains, and they're doing quite well against Russia. And eventually, Citizen is able to encircle these troops, and they get squashed. They die. And they counter the counteroffensive by Russia. This is a mouthful. And now they're right back where they started, but strong. Now they begin their push to try and encircle the troops here. The troops here start evacuating because they know what's going to happen, but it's too late. And they start dying, and they die. So pretty much all the Caucasus here has been taken over, and Russia, you aren't looking so good. So surprisingly, Russia's losing. But they are able to do this. Yeah, added sound effects. They're able to do that just to try and stop them and divert forces from Stanislav, and they are able to actually do this, but it doesn't really matter because your enemy could do the same thing. Okay, there we go. And you're caught off guard and forces their surrender. And now they're going to attempt to capture Moscow, the capital of Russia. So they move up here, and they move up their fronts here. And Russia, it's quite mad. And yeah, it's not looking good. So Russia does not want this to happen, obviously, and they are able to counter forces here. And they're going to try to encircle them. That's the main tactic in my videos. But that fails. And instead, Russia has not learned their lesson, and the enemy can do the same thing. And a large amount of troops surrenders, and now Afghanistan has a broader front, and they're closing in on Moscow. I think it's like right here, Moscow. They're quite close to Moscow, and they start pushing into the more cold areas of Russia, I guess. And their plan is such: they're going to try and take over Moscow, which is like right there, and then they're going to split Russia in half from here and take over all this area, and then they hope that Russia will surrender at that point. But we'll see. So then they keep pushing in, and they capture Moscow in a bloody battle. But it was a quick one, nevertheless. And now Russia's troops are getting low morale, and they begin to start giving up. Now that this has happened, they decide they're going to start splitting Russia in half in two areas. So they work here to do it, and they work here to do it. So they're actually going to split it into three halves. And Russia starts getting mad, and they push in from here, and with their good old ally, the Winter, they start pushing back, and they're on the gates of Moscow again, and they push this back because of Winter, and they are able, surprisingly, are still fighting, and yeah, capture some troops there, but this doesn't last long, and eventually Assassin plans a big encirclement. So they plan to encircle all the troops here. And that's their plan now before they split Russia in half. And yeah, Russia's not doing so well. They make sure that Moscow is safe here, that it's under Stanistan control, and now they're going to begin their encirclement here, which goes quite successfully, but it's not quite there yet. And Russia, the troops here are in a panic, and they begin retreating as fast as they can. And of course, it's too late. And these troops here surrender. And yeah, Russia's just not doing so well. They begin, and Stanislav is able to push in here. They meet up at the northern area of Russia, and now the only thing Russia really has to hold on to is St. Petersburg. So that's their next objective, St. Petersburg. They split this area in half. They begin squeezing in here, and this area right here surrenders. A huge chunk of land just surrenders. Probably because there's not much population there, to my knowledge. And now, Afghanistan is going to attempt to get St. Petersburg, and this is the bloodiest battle of the war, surprisingly more than Moscow, and they capture St. Petersburg. And then Russia surrenders. Dun 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 dun. Let's look at the peace treaty. Don't worry, it's not going to be full annexation. Here is the final peace treaty of this video. Oh, come on. Why do I never get these right? Okay, here's the final peace treaty of this video. And yes, I just gave Kaliningrad to Stanistan. So Stanistan is able to make some good gains. Their major gains is in the Caucasus, where they get quite a bit of oil. And they also make some gains here, just to look nice and big on the map here. And yeah, I think Stanistan was able to do good here. They get Kaliningrad, so they have a foothold in Europe now. And they also get the tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa. And yeah, they're overall just a very strong empire. They have all the borders for the Caspian Sea. They control it basically. And they are able to make some gains here against Russia. And Russia is now looking quite weak. Like, really, really weak. They look kind of skinny now. Soviet Union was like, they controlled like Kazakhstan, like right here. Now they're up to here. So that's not good for Russia. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, smash that like button, like Stanistan crushed all these countries. And no offense to anyone. And if you want, subscribe. I would really appreciate it because it shows me that these videos are doing well and that you guys like these videos. And please comment. I love reading you guys' comments. Please do. I hope I usually respond to them. And yeah, have a great morning, afternoon, or evening. Goodbye.